Hello, everyone, and welcome back to What the Frick podcast. This is part 2 of my episode with my good friend Drea. If you have not already listened to part 1, go and check that out now. She tells a really intense story about a guy that obviously, screwed her over. It's really intense, but it's just what we have to go through as girls, unfortunately. But if you are tuning in now, she's going to be telling a really fun story from a 4th of July that she had a few years back. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and we're going to jump right in. Well, thank you for telling that story. It has inspired me to hopefully release one of my more personal stories. But to put you on the spot again, are there any other crazy stories from the last few years that you are willing to divulge with us today?
Yeah, I think one that I love to tell, and I'm sure my friends from that story would not love to tell because it was just a mess, but
Let's hear it. Sounds like a great story.
I feel like my 4th of July's ever since I moved to Texas for PT school have always been just a fuck fest. Like, there's just been crazy. But this one in particular happened in 2020, so summer 2020, which was during COVID, like kind of peak COVID, right after like the first peak, and then we had like the summer. But I was in Texas, and Texas literally had no rule. Well, they had rules, but not as strict as some of the other states. My friends and I kind of like we weren't sure what we wanted to do, but we did get a couple invites. We got an invite from a group of guys that my friends were friends with to go on a boat. And so we're like, heck yeah, let's go on a boat.
We love a boat.
We love a boat on Lake Travis, which is so fun to go on during the 4th of July. It's like this massive lake in Austin. And so that was our first plan. And then a couple days before 4th of July, I get I don't know if it was a call or a text, but either way, I got an invite from a guy I talked to who fucked me over, but that is for a different time. He texted me and was like, hey, we're having this massive party at this mansion if you and your friends want to come. And I was like, absolutely. There's no question in my mind I want to go. Our plan was to go on this boat, and then from the boat, go to this house party. And so the day started out kind of hectic. We were in charge of the food. So we weren't the only girls on the boat, but we were the only ones kind of more responsible and weren't like any of the girlfriends or anything. So we were in charge of bringing the food. First mistake is we left half of the food at home. So we brought 2 bags, and half of it we left at home. And when we got out of the car,
it's depressing.
No, we got out of the car, and I was like, should I say her name? Should I say these people's names? I don't know.
That's up to you.
I said to one of my friends, I was like, where's the other bag? Because I was carrying one bag, and she was carrying the other, and I put one of them in the car, and she was like, oh, shit. And I was like, what? It's like, I think we forgot the other bag. And I was like, that had all the buns in it, all the cups, all of the stuff that we needed, all the cheese. So all we had was sausages, like for hot dogs, and patties for burgers. And that was it. We didn't have like anything else.
It's a solid meal.
Solid meal, yeah. I definitely had a lot of beveraginos. And so then it was like 3 o'clock, 2:30, something like that. And we got off the boat, and there is a bachelor party that was on the same island as us when we like kind of parked earlier in the day, and they had like a party bus, and they're like, come on our party bus. And me being drunk, I was like, yeah, let's go on your party bus. So we're on their party bus for, I kid you not, 30 seconds. And our guy friends were like, Drea, get off the bus. We're leaving. I'm like, okay. So I leave the bus, but what did I leave? I want you to guess what I left.
More food?
No, what did I leave on the bus?
Oh, on the bus? Your
Yeah.
phone?
Yes. So I left my
God.
phone on this bus, a party bus of people that I do not know. And I didn't realize I didn't have my phone until we were already at our guy friend's house, eating food before we went to this massive mansion. And so I'm panicking. I'm like, I don't have my phone. I don't know where it is. So we're trying to track it with like Find My iPhone. And somehow I don't, honestly, if this guy is listening, I want to marry you because you found my phone. He like somehow called my phone, and the guy who was driving the bus heard my phone ringing and answered it. So we found out where it was, and we're like, okay, like right now we can't get it, so we'll get it tomorrow. So we like told him like, look, we'll meet you tomorrow at like 10 o'clock and we'll get the phone. So
I would be so panicked to
I
go
was
that
panicked.
long. I can go like an hour. I'd
I
be
was
like,
panicked.
I can go home and find it right now.
Yeah, I think my panic was a little bit like it kind of was not as bad as it could have been because I was also drunk. So I was like, haha, okay, we found it. You know, like I wasn't in a great headspace. But anyways, so I'm like, okay, I have all my stuff other than my phone. I can survive. I have my friends. They can call Ubers. I have everything else. So we go to this massive house, but it's not even a mansion. It's a compound. It's two massive houses on this big property, massive pool, big yard. I'm sure there was like probably a couple more acres that are just like desert, like really couldn't explore. But this house had a recording studio. It had like everything you could ever imagine in a house.
It's like a celebrity's house? Like,
I don't
what?
think it's a celebrity's house, but celebrities had stayed there before. Like they were saying like someone famous recorded something in that studio. And so anyways, we get there and my eyes are like, if you can see me, my eyes were just like, I was like, oh my God, this is insane. There were so many people there because it was during COVID. I was like, I've never seen this many people out since COVID hit. I kid you not, like I was panicked. I was like, what if I get COVID? B, I was kind of in shock that many people got invited to this party. And C, I wasn't sure. I was just like was in a panic mode too.
Well, like how many people was it? Like take a guesstimate. Like are we talking like Project X?
We're talking Project X. It was like I don't want to say in the thousands because I feel like that would be a lot, but it's like it was in the hundreds for sure. It was at least 300 or 400 people.
Yeah, I think that would be a
And
little
like
shocking.
the pool, they're like, let's get in the pool. I'm like, the amount of people that probably have peed in this pool and alcohol that has been spilled in here, absolutely not. I'm not touching this pool.
All like during COVID.
All during COVID, I know. And the worst probably part about all of that was that that was like a couple weeks before me and my classmates were supposed to go out to clinical rotations. And I was in a skilled nursing facility, so I had to get tested for COVID before I stepped foot into my clinical rotation. So I was a little panicked, but I also had enough liquid courage in my body that I was like, fuck it. It's 4th of July. Today is the only day I'm giving myself an excuse to do this.
And you still have no phone.
And I still have no phone, yeah. But I promised myself, I had like a crossbody purse, and I had it attached to my body the entire rest of the day. Like this is not leaving my body. This is not leaving my sight. Like I lost one thing already. I can't lose the rest of my identity. So the day goes on. I literally had that baby attached to me all day. I probably will look stupid with like a crossbody attached and just wearing a bathing suit. And
Like that's kind of normal, like at day clubs nowadays.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. But it definitely wasn't like. I guess it kind of gave off day club vibes. But day goes on. I lose my friends for a little bit. But I was with this guy that invited me there. So I was hanging out with him. After our long conversation, I made him cry, but it was actually kind of fun making him cry.
We love that.
I know. We love when a man cries. But anyways, so night, like 6 p.m., I'm having a great time, and my friend is like, Drea, we need to leave. And I'm like, why? Why do we need to leave? And she's like, another one of our guy friends who, to be honest, was on drugs, and he was not okay. He was like going crazy. And one of the hosts, so there was like 3 or 4 guys that were the hosts, was like, you need to get him out of here. But we couldn't just let him go by himself. So we just decided to all go together. But at that time, I left my purse on a chair. And
I thought this was like attached to your body.
It was until that point. And I was in panic mode because I was like pressured to leave. And then I also couldn't find my stuff. So I just gave up and left my stuff. And so I drove home in this Uber with my friends. And I was so sad. I was crying in the Uber because I didn't know where any of my things were. And I have anxiety, so obviously that kicked in. And I was like, how am I supposed to get into my apartment tomorrow? How am I supposed to get into my car? How am I supposed to do anything?
I feel like I would have said, I need to go find my bag.
I know I did say that, but
no one cared that all your stuff was
no one cared. No one cared. Everyone was full of my shit anyways, because like I had already lost my phone. They're like, Drea, you lost your purse. I'm like, I didn't lose it. You just didn't give me enough time to find it.
I just needed another minute to go and locate its whereabouts.
Exactly. I also left my shoes there too.
What didn't you leave?
My bathing suit. I was literally wearing my shorts and my bathing suit.
I'm glad you weren't naked.
Yep.
Rolling out of there.
Imagine me leaving naked. So anyways, go back to my friend's house. I wake up and I'm just like so sad. I can't check what time it is because I don't have my phone. I don't have my purse to get into my car and leave. I don't have money. I don't have my ID. So I'm in panic mode. I'm like, fuck, what do I do? The only good thing is that we know where the phone is. And we call the guy and he's like, okay, give me an hour and I'll meet you. He's like, where should I meet you? I'm like, meet us at this Starbucks, which is like a mile and a half down the road from where my friend lives. So my friend drives us to the Starbucks and we're in the Starbucks parking lot for an hour waiting for this man. We're calling him. We're tracking my phone to see where it is. He finally gets there, like finally. And we're like, this is so sketchy. Like he's just giving me my phone. But he wanted me to pay him $100 to give me my phone for the gas it took for him to get to the Starbucks. And I'm like, sir, we could have driven to you if that was the case. Like that wouldn't have been an issue. And I was like, look, I don't have any money on me. My Venmo is in your hands. Like it's on my phone. He's like, well, have your friend Venmo me. I'm like, I'm not going to have her Venmo you. Like, this is my phone. This is technically stolen property on your part. He's like, I don't care. Give me $50. So I was so exhausted with arguing with him. I was like, look, Kaylin, I'll pay you back $50 if you just Venmo him.
I feel like I would have paid any amount. And they gave him like $500. I'd be like, okay, here you go.
So anyways, but I later learned that that's actually technically legal because it's stolen property. We got the phone. And so I called my building. And I was like, look, I just need you to get me into my apartment. I have spare keys and a spare car keys in my apartment. I just need you to like open the door. They're like, we'll charge you $100 to, I know, because it was the weekend and it was like an emergency.
Everyone's charging you for all your mistakes.
I mean, honestly, that is God's way of punishing me. So
if it isn't what is that saying? The consequences to my own actions.
Literally the consequences of my actions. So anyways, get into my apartment and I just lay there in my bed for a solid 2 hours just contemplating where I could have left this. I had the idea. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to drive to the house again and I'm going to try to find it. So I drive to this house. It is destroyed. I kid you. Well, with that many people, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it was Project X. So.
Yeah, it was. I've never seen a house so disgusting in my life. It was food on the ground. There was like cans and cups and paper towel. It was just, it definitely something went down there. So lucky for me, I did find my shoes.
A win.
A win in my book. But I didn't find my purse and I was pretty pissed off because I'm like, I'm so dumb. Like, this is annoying. I don't have my ID. I had to like get a new card, everything. Then I go about my day and my week. And then Wednesday, I get a Facebook message from apparently the guy who hosted the like Airbnb for the party. And I was like, he's like, hey, are you Drea? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I think I have your stuff in the back of my car. Like, I think I have your ID. I was like, oh my God, you have my stuff? And I was like, where do you live? I'll go anywhere. And
he's like the other side of the country.
It's literally in Florida. And he's like, oh, I live in this apartment complex. I'm like, I mapped it. I was like, a 5-minute drive. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll be there right now. He's like, okay, I'm home. So I get my purse and I'm like in the car, I'm crying, tears of joy. And I'm like, I found my stuff. I don't have to get a new license. I got a new card, so whatever. But I had my original keys. And yeah, that was like the craziest. I don't want to say like craziest thing, but one of the craziest 4th of Julys I've had, especially with my dignity. I lost my dignity that day.
You lost a lot of things that day, but that was one of them.
One of them was my dignity. The other one was my phone and my keys and my wallet. But I still have the purse. I still have the wallet. They're in my apartment right now. So
I don't know. I mean, props to you for like. I mean, the minute I would have lost my phone, I would have had to just go home because I'm like, I could be kidnapped at any moment, and then the whole purse situation. I would have been overwhelmed just at a party during COVID with that many people. I feel like nowadays it'd be like, yeah, whatever, but especially during COVID, I think the shock factor of seeing a Project X style party would have also just set me over the edge, and then you lose everything else. I think I would have had to call a therapist or something.
Yeah, to be honest, I really don't know how I handled it, but I was ready to party. I think part of me was like, I'm over this COVID shit. I'm over being home. I'm over everything being closed. And so I was like, I am ready to live it up, even if that means with nothing. But I was kind of sad because I didn't get any videos or pictures or anything, or else I would show you, because it was insane. Like, you could easily, I'm sure people got COVID from that party, like easily. And I low-key I don't know if I did get COVID from that party in particular, but I did get COVID. I didn't get any symptoms, but I had COVID particles in my body or whatever they test when they do the little. So I couldn't even start my clinical on time, which was really sad, but another consequence to my actions.
Yeah, I mean, it was good that you were in like a party mode, because had you been like stone cold sober, you probably would have just had a really bad time. But you were like, whatever, like I've already lost so many things. I may as well just continue the night.
I might as well continue drinking. And it was honestly a really good 4th of July. The 4th of July before that, it was absolute horseshit. It was so bad. But that's a story for another day. I appreciate you listening to my drunken 4th of July parties have always been the best.
It's fun to hear. I never really do anything that crazy for the 4th of July, and I know it's like everyone just wants to get like totally like blacked out, but I've always like either done nothing, or like the only time I ever did something cool was when I did that Miley Cyrus concert in Vegas. Other than that, I'm like always just like not doing anything, so it's always fun to hear other people's stories.
This 4th of July, I did make out with my friends, so no.
And it continues.
And it continues. The 4th of July before that, so 2021, I went to a rave on Lake Austin, which was really fun. That was a really great 4th of July for sure.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on, Drea. I feel like hearing those stories makes me think I need to go out and do more with my life, because I have not had nearly as many of these crazy, especially 4th of July experiences. So maybe next year I'll do something wild.
Why don't we do something next year super wild?
I'm like, I don't know if I can handle your life on 4th of July.
Okay. It's not that crazy always, but we can do something fun.
Yes, for sure. But with that, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Drea, do you want to drop your Instagram handle?
Sure. It's DreDre1313. Actually, Molly does call me that. Fun fact. But yeah, DreDre1313.
Awesome. And I might turn this into a 2-part podcast depending on the time, but this was fun. I think I'm gonna have you back on, and we need to play the PowerPoint game and the if he's a 5 or if he's a 10 game, but we need to like write them all out so we have them just like ready.
Yeah,
to
I know, because
go.
it would take a long time for us to just like sit here and think about them.
Because it is hard. You're like, he's a 10, but like he's ugly.
He's a 10, but he has a horrible personality. I'm like, okay, what about the horrible personality?
Yes, so we will have Drea back on sometime soon. But with that, thank you guys again so much for listening. And I have no idea what's coming out next week, so a surprise to us all. But thank you again, Drea, and I will see you guys next week.